Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. Cause you are the one for me. If you just believe, 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 you just believe.
Erling Haaland, he is the problem. He is the... Shut up! Shut up! Hat-trick Haaland as City beat Wolves 3-0. That's his 4th hat-trick this season. His 31st in all competitions and 25 in the Premier League. I will repeat what myself and Joe said a couple months ago. Rory Jennings, say it, Joe.
Suck your mum.
Suck your mum, Rory Jennings, yeah? How does 25 look? He's 3 above the Golden Boot winner from last season. Listen, people, welcome back to another stream. No review video today for myself. I decided with it being Arsenal United Day, with it being City Wolves Day, I may as well get the 2 lads on with me and we'll do a full stream talking about both games. So there's plenty to talk about. We got a 3-0 win. Arsenal stole their way to a 3. No, they actually deserved it, to be fair. Now it was a great game, right? They got all 3 points. I'm a little bit salty, but we'll talk about it, right? So the table is as it stands on screen. Arsenal on 50, we're on 45. They got a game in hand. We still got to play them twice. All is not lost, people. Still a long way to go, but let's break it down. I won't lie, I did not see the entire 90 minutes of City. I saw most of it. I saw all the goals. I saw most of the, the intricate play. But as it was not on television, fuck Sky Sports, I was forced to watch it on an alleged illegal stream. So, it is what it is. Get in your thoughts, as always, in the people or in the chat, people, on your thoughts on both fixtures today, Arsenal United and, of course, City Wolves. Who impressed you in either game? We're going to start with City Wolves, as, of course, the City channel, but we can't not talk about Arsenal United. We'll talk about the title race. We'll talk maybe a bit about the cup game against Arsenal, because it does kind of leak into it a little bit. I'll do a proper preview close to the time, like a more condensed one, but it's always great to get the lads' thoughts too. We'll do more streams midweek as well. Do us a quick favor before we get into the ins and outs, people, and smash that like button. We're about 34 subscribers off 5 bloody K. 34. It feels like it was only a week ago I was saying we're about 500 off or about 600 off. We're 34 subs off. Share it to your mum. Share it to your nan. Share it to your aunt. Tell them all to subscribe. We're on the road. 5K soon come. Listen, City Wolves, like I said, Haaland breaking records, doing crazy things. Haaland being Haaland. 3-0. Some good performances all round. I think we've got to talk about this, lads. It was a much improved overall performance. Put the scoreline aside. It was a much improved overall performance. There were certain things I picked up on that I was really, really happy to see. What are we saying?
Go on, Joe. You usually, I usually go first. You work away.
I'll work away on this one. I think you have to go back. The start of it really is half time when we're 2-0 down to Tottenham. That's where it all starts. The team talk and the second half of the Tottenham game, and then Pep's press conference after the Tottenham game. That is where it starts, because he called out everybody. Nobody was safe. The board, the players, the fans, nobody was safe. Everybody got a little bit of something in that press conference, and I think it's a bit too early to say that we're back and that whole calling out everybody thing has actually worked yet, because it's only been one game. You know, you got to prove yourself over multiple games. Got Arsenal next in the cup. We've got more Premier League games that we got to go and win. So I'm not saying that it's worked to its full effect yet, but in my eyes, it's had some sort of effect, because this Wolves game was much better. Wolves caused us next to no problems until the game was already won. And at that point, we'd already eased off a little bit, so they grew into it a little bit more. But the game was already won. Until that point, they did absolutely nothing. We controlled the game. I struggled to watch it, so, I mean, I usually get stick for my player ratings, but genuinely, I gave, everybody got a 7. There was a couple of 8s in there for players that I saw more of, and then obviously Haaland gets a 10 because he's got a hat-trick. That's just it. I didn't really see too much of the game. It was hard to find any place to watch it, because according to Sky Sports, the Premier League champions, the current Premier League champions, are not worthy enough of being televised, but Leeds and Brentford are. Work that one out. But at the end of the day, we got the 3 points. We were momentarily 2 points behind Arsenal. And it was looking like it wasn't going to go back to 5, but of course that happened, and I was expecting that, to be honest. But it's not over. We've done our job. And that's just getting 3 points. And, you know, it's out of our hands now. We just need to keep doing this and keep this up. You know, I think you look at the returning players, De Bruyne getting back in today, Laporte came back in again, and those were two of the players who were sort of singled out for having their level decrease after the return of the World Cup. There was that piece of news from Sam Lee that was a handful of players that levels just decreased since that break for the World Cup, and those two players were on it, and they held up fairly decently. I think there was a lot more running. There's still a little bit of rust there from De Bruyne. I think he's still yet to find a bit of his passing range, but overall, I've got no complaints. I mean, we even saw Calvin Phillips get on the pitch, so you know it was comfortable.
Listen, the Yorkshire pudding is shaving off some of that pastry, isn't he? He's getting a bit thinner. He's looking. Listen, all the minutes are valuable for Calvin Phillips. But as far as today goes, let's throw it a little bit back to what you alluded to there a bit, was the Pep's post-match interviews and his post-match press conference after Spurs. He came out with an AK-47 and started shooting down every man. He went to war with all of his players. He went to war with the fans. He went to war with the board. It was basically Pep versus Manchester City after we just beaten Tottenham 4-2. And a lot of people would take that at face value and say, oh, this is a meltdown from Pep. He's completely lost the plot. But if you read into it and you know the way Pep Guardiola operates, it's a tactic. It was a risky but potentially highly rewarding tactic of the players don't look interested. So many of them look like they're not trying and they've got no hunger. I have to send for them because whatever approach I'm using on the training ground right now, it ain't working. Arm over the shoulder. Come on, lads, we can win the Prem. Come on, guys, let's put in a shift against Spurs. Let's beat Everton. No, it ain't working. He's got to come out with the AK, take safety mode off and spray them all down. This isn't fucking good enough. And I was glad. In a way, I was glad. Maybe the fans thing was a bit unjustified. You know, don't go for the fans. That's the last people you should go for. Even though there is an issue there. We'll talk about it maybe in another stream or later on at this time with, you know, pricing and family standard. You know the drill. If you go to the game, you know what I'm saying. But I needed him to come for the players a little bit because there were too many players in recent weeks looking too comfortable. You know, I won't be taken out of my position. We're Premier League winners. We'll just win it because we are who we are. We're Manchester City. We'll walk our way to the title. It seemed a little bit like that. It did. I think you'll agree with me. There's a few players, and there's ones that, you know, have been great for us over the years that we maybe don't like to criticize. They got to be criticized. You know, Walker, Foden, even De Bruyne. good today, but he did look, too comfortable for a while. Bernardo, Cancelo, these men have all been dropped. De Bruyne back in today, but most of them all been dropped. Why? Because Pep's not happy. He doesn't care about the results. He wants players who want to play. If you want to play, better chance of getting results. And today, and against Tottenham in the second half, I saw at least 2 or 3 gears. We went up 2 or 3 gears. The pace, the energy, the determination, the hunger, enthusiasm, all that. We're feeding Haaland the ball. It was a much quicker, hungry game. This is squad depth showing its overall value here. You've got players on the bench who are hungry, who maybe weren't considered starting 11 players initially. They're now in the team, and they're showing why they want to be there. They're showing why they deserve to be there, and why we can still win the Premier League. I'd much rather Rico Lewis play right back. We'll talk about him. I'd much rather most of these players that play today play every week until someone gets injured or someone else has to come in for some reason, and they prove why they should play. Just because you're Phil Foden doesn't mean you're going to play. Sorry, son. Great player. You've done great things, but no one's place is guaranteed. And today's performance was much better. It was much better. It was much more sped up. Like I said, much more of a determination. I was very happy. Rebel.
It was very reassuring. But like that was the first thing that came to mind afterwards when, obviously we kind of just pumped them. There wasn't any real danger. I think there was one chance they had before we scored. And then the Sarabia chance when we were 3-0 up. That was it. It was, considering what I've seen of them the last few weeks, aka the Liverpool Cup ties, I really expected more. I said, yeah, all right.
Fucking cameras annoying me. Go on.
It's reassuring to look at a team that went, now look, they're not a great example, but went toe to toe with a Liverpool team who twice over put out their full team and gave them a good game, but they should have beaten Liverpool in the cup. And I look at that and say that's a good performance against a solid team, regardless of how they turned up today. Something we have to talk about. The referee was fucking scandalous.
He was shit for both teams, though.
He was shit for both teams. No, I'm not just going for it, but I don't understand how City didn't get another penalty. Oh my god, your man Jack Grealish got absolutely cut and didn't get a penalty. It comes with a reputation now. Like, referees run off reputations now. It's like, oh, Grealish, most fouls won the league. Let's not get mad because that's a clear cut penalty. Let's not mess around. That is a stonewall penalty.
It is, man.
It doesn't get given. Like if you're Klopp at Anfield, if you're maybe even Ten Hag at Old Trafford, you're getting it. Simple as.
Listen, this is just the kind of challenges you got to deal with when you're City, And listen, I'm not going to make it a victim situation where, we're always on the bad end of, or we always draw the short straw and yada, yada. No, every club does have their incidents. If you're looking at it objectively, everybody has their incidents where it don't go their way. Didn't go our way today, but it didn't bother me too much because even, what was it, 1-0 when we should have got that penalty?
Yeah.
Was it 1-0? I thought it was. Oh, no, it was 1-0. Yeah, it was.
We were in the driver's seat. I was never really concerned we weren't going to win the game. It was just a matter of us penetrating, essentially, because we haven't been doing that in recent weeks. We haven't been, cutting teams open and creating chances the way we needed to. And today, at least we were. At least we looked like there was more of a determination to get Haaland onto the ball and on the end of chances. Both the wingers, Mahrez and Grealish, both cooked as they have done in recent weeks. Maybe not the stats today, but they both played their part in a big win. And the whole thing is, if you want to win a league title at all, every single game is huge. Every player has to turn up for every game as if you're playing Real Madrid in the Champions League final. That's how you win these games. And there was too many players in the squad weren't turning up for your Evertons, your Fulhams, your Brentfords, as if it was a final and it's a must 3 points. So the players on the pitch today, I think we should go through a few of them, the notable mentions. The first one is we got to have a serious conversation about Rico Lewis because this kid is causing problems and not bad ones. Yeah, we thought at the start of the season, Rico Lewis, Cole Palmer, what's the other kid called? Joshua Wilson-Esbrand. These kids, they might get a few minutes here and there. We'll see what they're about in cup games and whatnot. Rico Lewis, through performances of his own, has single-handedly benched Kyle Walker and pretty much benched Cancelo too. This kid is absolutely insane what he can do. Traditional right back, invert him into the centre of the park. He's happy to do either. He actually moves the ball quicker at the minute than Kyle Walker. You saw Kyle Walker on the ball in recent games, whether he started against United or he came on as a sub against Spurs and another game too. Lewis was having a much more positive impact than Kyle Walker. That's an issue. Kyle Walker should be taking that as a serious problem and saying, I'm being benched here by an 18-year-old who has no pedigree compared to me. But you can't take any credit off Rico Lewis. The kid's got to play. If we were playing in the Champions League final on Saturday, I'd say play Rico. I'm serious. Because it's those kind of games. It's you play who's based on form, and the kid's fucking on form. He's one of our fastest moving ball players. He's aggressive in the challenge. He's brave. He's happy to take players on. He's actually smart. He's actually playing with the brains of a fucking 32-year-old as well. You know, winning fouls, being cheeky in the challenges. The kid's playing like the real deal. What are we saying about him? Because when you know the way Mika Richards says, I burst onto the scene. No, Rico Lewis has burst onto the scene.
It's him. He is him. Like Rico Lewis, he can't be taken out of this team at the minute. You're looking purely upon what Pep says and all the time about the team. Says we can play well without Nathan Ake. Pep says, I think personally, the best person is Ake's best file over the other side is definitely Rico Lewis. Brings the best out of him. It's not Cancelo. It's not Walker. Rico Lewis has everything about him. He can get forward. He can defend. He can drop into midfield. He can be used on the overlap. He put a great ball today. I think it was Gundogan. I didn't finish it, but he is outrageous. Genuinely, he is 18. He's gone 18, isn't he?
He just turned 18 in November.
Right, just turned 18, and he is single-handedly saving Man City 50 to 60 million pounds. Easy. That's your right back. That's your right back for the next 10 years, 10, 15 years. Like what? That runs about 33 in 15 years.
Absolutely, man.
Come on. Like you can't take him out at the minute. I think if you're actively turning around and telling me that Cancelo or Walker deserve to be in there on form, you're a psychopath. You're a psychopath.
And the thing is with Rico as well is what's most refreshing is he's come in and shown a serious determination. That's all. Like we keep banging on about it, and I'll keep banging this drum because in these title races where you are behind, and there is a juggernaut in Arsenal at the minute, they are a juggernaut. You need players who want to catch them. You need players who are in the trenches with you, with the helmets on, saying, "Right, we're going through this war, and we're going to come out at the end of it one way or another." Rico's looking like that. I mean, I'll give Walker the allowance of listen. It's like the old analogy of the boxer. You know, he starts off humble. You know, he's sleeping on a mattress on the floor. He's going on 5 a.m. runs. 5-6 miles a day, whatever. Then he wins his 3 or 4 world titles, and he's sleeping in Egyptian cotton sheets, and he's got the best wine and the best food, and naturally the hunger isn't the same. Am I saying Kyle Walker doesn't want to win it again? No, but it's so crystal clear that Rico Lewis really fucking wants it. If Walker wants it, Rico Lewis really wants it. And that's the player I want on the pitch for me, man. Joe, this kid's causing him problems, and I'd say it's a headache for Pep, because Pep's probably thinking, in the last 3 or 4 years, Walker's one of the first names in the team sheet when fit. Now Pep's writing his team sheet. He types W, and he goes, oh, no. I forgot about that Rico kid. He's got to play. Man.
Types a W and puts in an L.
That's what I'm saying, man.
It's not often you say that. I mean, I'm surprised he got taken off at half time, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. There was no question about it. I've seen no quotes. I've seen nothing about it. But he was taken off at half time, which I find weird because he was taken off at the end of the Spurs match. So it's not like he's off the back of 90 minutes and we need to save him for anything. And if we're being honest, considering he is now first choice, you'd imagine that he wouldn't be playing in the cup match against Arsenal, which is our next game. You'd imagine that would be handed to Walker and Cancelo as like, this is your game. So I don't know why he came off. Not like a complaining, because it's not like it cost us the game or anything. But again, it's bizarre. I mean, he called him our little Philip Lahm. He is playing in that midfield sort of role. The first time I think I've seen him against Wolves, probably the first time I've seen him cross from that sort of position. We all know that him coming through as a fullback, he would have been used to going outside his winger and maybe getting to the byline and cutting it back or getting across from a wider position. He started crossing it from a much more inverted position, almost a midfield position, which is weird. And the crosses were actually really, really good. Of course, maybe they were slightly overcooked or slightly too high, but those are things that he will obviously get better at. He's only 18, so we're not expecting like a world beater status at the moment. But I mean, he has to play when he's available at the moment, because I cannot trust Cancelo. He's been absolutely awful since he got sent off, and then the World Cup hasn't helped. He got in a mood because he got dropped from the national team. He stopped starting for them at the World Cup. And Walker, not that he's been bad. I don't think he's been like catastrophic or anything. I don't think he's been awful, but it's not like he's blown it out, like blowing everyone out the water, or he's proved why he should be a nailed-on starter. It's not like he's gone out there and done something out of the ordinary. I know he had that one game where he wasn't very good, where he played at centre-half, but that's more on Pep than on Kyle Walker. But unless it's like a specific game plan where we're playing against someone with a lot of pace, like an Mbappe or someone of that ilk, where you're looking at someone who's just dead quick, then maybe that's when you look at Kyle Walker. But other than that, I'm not really paying attention to, I'm not really saying I want Kyle Walker to shore up this defence, because we don't really need it. We need someone who's better on the ball in that position at the moment. So I'm only looking at Kyle Walker if there's like a specific 1v1 matchup that I'm looking at where I'd rather have Walker in that situation. But even then again, we look at Son, notorious City killer, having a stinky season. Everybody expected him to score. He was dealt with. And Rico Lewis played on that right-hand side, so maybe not even then either.
And Grealish chopped Son as well. Let's not forget that. So just bear that. with Lewis, you kind of made a great point there, which was unless you're playing against someone like Mbappe or I don't know who's another tricky winger, a Leao maybe in a Champions League game, who's a speedy winger who's going to cause problems and try to take on the fullback a lot. I'm going with Rico Lewis because, in 90% of the games we play, we have complete ball control. We completely dictate the flow of the game. Rico Lewis can do that to a T perfectly and very efficiently too. I mean, younger players would struggle, even if they went through the City system, just with the pace of it and being in the right place at the right time. You're seeing the connection that Rico Lewis has with Rodri. Rodri gets the ball in pockets and Rico's immediately jumping into a position where he can help Rodri, offer Rodri support. A young player may not think like that straight away. It might, take a bit of tuning, take a bit of time to get used to that. But Rico Lewis, he knows where to be. He's dropping into spaces, offering an option for the player who's stuck on the ball. There's so many times we've given away goals because I've seen players caught in possession because there's really no one for them to give it to. Rico Lewis is offering that support to a centre half, to a Rodri, to a De Bruyne, to a Gundogan. He's everywhere. He's inverting. He's out wide, offering Mahrez help. Man, the kid's the real deal. But listen, actually, Joe, could you run a poll in the chat for me, right? I know it's a little bit away, and we're jumping over the Arsenal FA Cup game to do so, but I want to know people's opinions. There's 35 people in the chat. Make sure you smash the like button. But poll is for Spurs away, which is, I believe, the next league game, isn't it? Spurs away. I've got the fixtures up here. Yeah, it's Spurs away, man. Sunday, 5th of February at 4:30. Do you pick Walker or do you pick Rico Lewis? I want to know, people. Bear in mind, Rico Lewis played part of the team that beat Spurs the other night. What do you reckon, Rebel?
Rico.
I think Rico's got a whole.
You got a little voice break there as well, so be happy.
Rico's got a whole bench for the FA Cup, man. He's got a whole bench for FA Cup. Take a chill. No, it's not, man. I'm actually in the mindset right now where I'm happy to forgo the FA Cup. I genuinely, with all due respect, I know you respect all silverware, and I genuinely am like that. But at this stage, with the position we're in and our need for wins in the major competitions, bro, put out the second string team, whoever that may be, against Arsenal on Friday night. I love
the Pellegrini special when he got sacked and then put out half a fucking under 23s team against Chelsea.
That's it, man. That's it. Do something like that. Do something wild, man. Give Palmer the reins. Give all those players the reins. Sergio Gomez.
That's what Arsenal are going to do, by the way.
No.
I have a feeling. No, because I have a feeling that that's exactly what Arsenal are going to do. I know we're going to get onto Arsenal, but I think Arsenal, the same thing for the Europa League with them. They're so focused on this Premier League title because they're hungry. We all know that they are desperate for the Premier League title. That I think going forward in terms of the FA Cup and the Europa League, they are just going to put out whatever B team they can, no matter how bad it is, and just whatever happens. So I think we should do the same in the FA Cup because, again, we're hunting down this Premier League. We're still in the Champions League. In the FA Cup, I'm not particularly bothered. If we were really that desperate for a cup, we would have maybe been more asked about the Carabao Cup because it was a quarter-final.
Yeah, but listen, you got to remember with Arsenal that whenever Nketiah is on the pitch, you're in trouble, man. Your defense is in trouble.
Fucking hell.
Unbelievable.
Nketiah's in the room.
It's not as bad as some of them.
Listen, man, that's a great chant. Big up Nketiah. Need to play who's in form and who has the hunger to fight and play, period, says the Mad Hatter. D1 says Arsenal won't rest their squad in the FA Cup because they know their next league game is Everton. Darsh, we City fans are preferring an 18-year-old to start than Walker. We prefer to play Ake at left back than Cancelo. It's actual madness since both Walker and Cancelo are one of the best fullbacks in the world. On their day, they are two of the best fullbacks in the world. On his day, I believe Kyle Walker is the best right fullback in the world, but he hasn't been on his day for a while, has he? We haven't seen Kyle Walker's day since last season. He picked up that. That's being kind. That's being kind, man. He picked up that injury in the second half of last season, if you like, midway to the second half of last season. And then he hasn't looked really the proper same since. So that's even being kind. Rico Lewis is that guy right now. But listen, Joe, have you got any results from that poll, or I'll give it another few minutes?
I mean, it's only been up for a couple of minutes, but it's sort of 2/3 Lewis at the moment. So that's what you're looking at.
Right, well, let me know whenever it ends. Who else do we want to talk about? Akanji and Stones. Akanji's solid defensively. Didn't have a huge amount to do, but he made 2 or 3 big challenges. He did defensively. He timed his challenge as well. I find with Akanji, he plays on the edge, man. He plays on the edge. Some of his challenges, if they go wrong, they can go horribly wrong, and he can get himself the wrong color card. But he seems to more often than not perfectly time them. So as long as he keeps doing that, I'm perfectly fine. Johnny Stones, people say in the chat. Listen, big up John Stones, man. We said it while he was injured. When he comes back, his pace of ball distribution and transition and whatnot is going to be so important for us getting back to the gear and the level that we need to be at to put pressure on Arsenal. Laporte, decent. We ended up with 4 centre-backs in the pitch in the second half of the game.
That was fucking wild. That was absolutely wild. We had 4 centre-halves on the pitch at the same time, and John Stones was playing as an inverted right-back. Like, how mental is it that is able to happen, that John Stones can effectively just play as an inverted right-back? And it's like, oh yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. He can do that, no problem.
Because the guy is so unbelievably underappreciated. The City fans appreciate him, but globally and in Europe, the guy is not appreciated. In England, he's not appreciated for the quality that he has. Ball control, technically, distribution, passing, speed, speed of thought, his decision making generally is excellent. The guy is the complete Rolls Royce centre half. He's up there as far as I'm concerned with the likes of Virgil van Dijk. In terms of ability, he's up there with the likes of Van Dijk at his best. And the thing is, Stones still has more silverware as well. I mean, if he was called Virgil van Stones, would he be rated higher? You know what I mean?
If he played in red, he'd get the plaudits he deserved. But because he doesn't, and because he's had his injury issues and he has had his previous form issues, and because he also, for how good he is, he still has a very rare bozo moment in him, or he has shown that in the past, where he does have a bozo moment in him sometimes where he can just give the ball away. It doesn't happen often, or it hasn't happened often, like as of recent, but a couple of years ago, you used to be going, this guy can make a mistake, but fair play to him. He's turned it around. He'll never get the credit he deserves, which is unfortunate, but I don't really think he's looking for credit from outside, from rival fans or anything like that. I mean, he's one of the first names on the team sheet when he's fit. I think that's probably all he cares about. I mean, he's been here. He was one of Pep's first signings, and the fact that he is hungry for trophies still, clearly hungry for trophies still, because his performances haven't dipped, but others who have arrived after him have already seemingly sort of, let their heads dropped and aren't that bothered anymore. It's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy.
And the thing with say Stones versus Van Dijk is the debate I've made here in my head is that yes, Stones, because he was one of Pep's first signings, he was still relatively young as well. He was thrown straight into the spotlight immediately. He's John Stones. He's joined Pep Guardiola's Manchester City at 50 million as well. At that time was a lot for a centre half. He's got a bang straight away. Van Dijk was allowed to get most of his bozo moments out of him at Southampton. He was allowed to refine his game at Celtic and Southampton. He was class for Celtic. He was class for Southampton. He was allowed to refine his game at both those clubs. So by the time he got to Liverpool, he had a lot of the bozo gene eliminated. He was just that Rolls Royce centre half that we all eventually saw at the highest stage. Stones had to do all that while playing for City. But now we're seeing him at that stage that Van Dijk was at, where he just is that complete Rolls Royce centre half. And we're so lucky to have him, man. Bring Diaz back as well. Throw him into the equation. I believe he's on the bench today. You know what I mean? That leadership then the team. We're in a good place, people. It's been a complete 180. We've gone from being in an awful place 2 weeks ago, lost to United, or drew with Everton. The loss to Brentford was still in our minds. A poor performance against Leeds, even though we still won it. This was all looming. And now we're in a position where you can see who wants it. It's crystal clear. There's no debate over which players want it. You know which players you want on the pitch. And we have a leader coming back. You've got John Stones playing well. You've got a new right back who's burst onto the scene. It looks good. We'll have another five or so minutes on City, people. I'll answer some of your questions in the chat as well. But I want to talk a bit about Haaland. We need to talk about Haaland because since we returned from the World Cup, it has been a little bit slow for Haaland. It hasn't been, as bang bang goals as it was in the first half of the season. He got one, I believe, against Liverpool in that cup game. Did he score again up until today?
Everton.
Oh, and Tottenham. He got one against Tottenham, didn't he?
He got Leeds as well. He got a couple
He still
against
scored a
Leeds.
considerable amount of goals.
He still scored a considerable amount of goals.
It's a considerable.
He's the problem, though.
He's the problem. He makes us worse.
He's the problem.
But for him, it seemed like a slow few business days. You know what I mean?
He had three games. He had 3 games. I swear to God, he had 3 games without scoring, and everybody thought it was the end of the world, and he was finished, and he was done.
Haaland's the problem, Haaland's made City worse. Haaland has ruined your team. No. You can't play with a striker. Shut up, mate. He's just dropped 3 today. Do you want me to go over the stats again? I'll do it. Don't tempt me. I'll do it. 25 Premier League goals. How many games have we played?
20.
In 20 games.
And he was injured for a couple of them as well. Don't forget.
Don't get it twisted, people. The stats don't lie. 31 in all comps. Bro, it's not even February. Today's the date, 22nd of January. And he's on 31 goals in all comps. That's disgusting. That should be illegal. But he doesn't care. He's the king of Manchester right now, man. He's walking around with a swagger. And today we saw him getting that service he needs. 50p head Haaland, man. He's got a head shaped like a 50p coin. Most of his headers end up in row Z. It's like it's like someone's insulted his mother in the stands. He has to head the ball at someone in the crowd,
Gundogan took his turn today. I'll tell you, Gundogan took his turn today with his 50p head. He missed from 2 yards.
You know what I mean, man? Listen, Haaland, man. Haaland has more hat-tricks on his own this season than the rest of the Premier League. Disgusting. He should be ashamed of himself. But I love it.
He has to grow up, I think, personally.
Grow up, mate. Life's not all about goals. Listen, man. Any thoughts on Haaland? He took his 3 goals well today. One was a penalty, the header. What was the last one again?
You know what? I can't remember.
When Jose Sarr said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pass it straight to Riyad Mahrez.
Oh, yeah, he passed it to Mahrez.
Yeah.
It was an open goal.
But he's got that cold mentality, Haaland, man. He's got that cold mentality. I saw, so a lot of you will know the other city YouTuber, Steve McInerney. He, the Steam company, he made a bet at the start of the season that Haaland will get 40 league goals, obviously by the end of the season, to win $5,000.
That's
I
horrific.
I think he's going to win the $5,000.
That shouldn't be allowed to happen.
Premier
League, but he's on 25 and there's what?
15 left to go.
In something like, how many games is left?
18.
18?
Yeah.
18.
15 goals in 18 games.
He's getting another hat-trick as well. Let's be fair. He already has, it's more Premier League hat-tricks than Ronaldo, despite being there 6.5 years less.
Mate, he should be ashamed of himself. He should be locked up in theory. He should be put in Strange Ways prison, because what he's doing right now is, in my opinion, highly illegal.
Just wait till the end of the season, though. Just give him a 3 months. Lock him up for 3 months.
And we're still waiting on that game that we all know is coming eventually, where he just dunks 5 on someone. Where he just completely destroys someone. It's coming at some point. We're going to play against someone this season.
I'm going to lay it down. He will be the first one to hit 6 goals in the game.
Well,
yeah.
I would say, yeah, but Pep loves taking him off after he's got his 3rd. He loves just taking him off after he's got 3. Right, you got a hat-trick, come off. Took him off after an hour. He probably could have got 5 against Wolves if he stayed on.
Yeah. It is smart, though. It is smart. Like, you think about it, it's fun as it is when he's dunking on a team. You are kind of like, right, take him off, recharge the robot, With a Tesla, plug-in charger, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, that type of shit.
Got new Duracell. He got new Duracell batteries, man.
No, we've already got the Duracell Bunny. We've got rid of that old type of battery in Bernardo Silva. We're getting rid of that one. We're throwing that one in the recycling bin. And we brought in the energy-efficient, environmentally friendly Tesla robot, Erling Haaland.
At least it's recyclable, though. At least you mentioned that we're recycling.
We are an environmentally friendly channel, people. I hope you know that. But listen, with Haaland, he's back. He's back. Like he was ever gone, but he's back anyway, doing crazy things. And I think he's going to hit 40 league goals this season. Like I said...
Murray, did you see the bet that did come in, the request of it?
No.
He has now got, I think it's 5+ headed goals, 5+ left-footed goals, and 5+ right-footed goals. That has made his that has made that request to bet come in at, I think, was 33-1, which is fucking outrageous. But I think Lewis won a few quid off it.
I'd say there's a lot of people who are checking their cash out number just with excitement to see what it is right now, because there's a lot of bets people are waiting to come in, and I would imagine most of them will come in. Someone says something here. Rory needs a new Haaland apology video, says the Matt. I want an apology video from Rory Jennings every time Haaland scores, because that may go down as the worst take in football history. I'm serious. It's well up there. It really is.
It's proving to be one of the worst takes, not just in football history, just of all time. He said 15. What was it? All competitions?
All competitions.
He's already doubled that, and we're in January. He's already doubled that, and we're in January. And the man made one apology video and thinks that's all right. Nah, bro. You got to make more. You got to make more. You got to apologize again, and then you're gonna do it again.
Rory, man, I know you're not one of the 35 people in the building. If you are, smash the like button. But I'm speaking to you directly. You're a fucking melon. You're an absolute. You're a bagel of the highest order, mate. Get a grip. Listen, Haaland, he continues to take the piss out of the Premier League, and I'm serious that one of these days he's just gonna dunk 5 or 6 on someone, and we're all gonna go, this is mad. Anyways, I reckon we park City there. We park City there, and we'll move into half title race, half Arsenal United talk. It's 3-2 to Arsenal. United made a good fight of it. I'll give them credit. They made a good scrap of it, but the resilience of Mikel Arteta and Nketiah's in trouble got them the 3-2 win today, and Arsenal remain 5 points clear with a game in hand. It's not ideal. I was hoping that our noisy neighbours could do us a favour, but the main thing is, for me, lads, is that we keep the pressure on. We keep the pressure on, yeah? It doesn't matter whether they're playing United or they're playing Brighton or they're playing Everton. It doesn't matter to me. As long as we keep the pressure on and just let them know, we're still here, little bro. We're still here. We're not going anywhere. You better keep winning your games, because we're still coming. We're hunting you down. And we're now 2 wins on the bounce. Yeah? Big time. 2 wins on the bounce. It's looking good. But listen, what do we think of that game today?
Man, I was watching it. I watched the end of it with my brother. I just got back from work. And it was about, now I'm going to sound like LeBron James here, but it was about 30 seconds when Arsenal actually had the ball. I goes, they're probably going to end up nicking one. And sure, look, they did. But it was well deserved. You can't look at it and say that it was deserved. Better team for the full 90 minutes. They let Rashford score. I think you can state as a wonder goal. It was a fucking unbelievable goal.
One of the goals of the season.
He is mad, that Rashford. He's so good. But they just don't give up. They have the mentality now. And that's what they were lacking. They were lacking someone with that mentality. You have to look at Granit Xhaka. He's come back after fucking off every fan in the stadium to now being the deputy club captain and one of the best players of the season. Odegaard has been one of, if not the best player of the season. He's been outrageous. Saka, man, what has happened to Saka? He must be on steroids or something. The man is unbelievable. You can't stop him. You can't stop him. Doesn't matter who you put up against him. You are not stopping Bukayo Saka. He is crazy good. I mean, I was looking at the end. Now, look, I know we sold him for his own reasons. He wanted to play more football. But watching Zinchenko getting passionate about winning the league in an Arsenal shirt hurts me. I'm hurt.
I have my thoughts on that Zinchenko thing. Yeah, we're glorifying it because they're winning games. But if we're being totally honest with ourselves, Zinchenko did that a lot in a City shirt to the detriment of himself. He lost his head a couple of times to Manchester. I love Zinchenko. He is, regardless of whether he loses his head the odd time and overdoes it, that's one thing. You'd still love a player like him in the dressing room. Take nothing away from it. He's the player that I missed the most of the band that we got rid of last summer. But when they start losing games and Zinchenko starts to lose his head that bit too much, like we saw against Newcastle. Do you remember the end against Newcastle?
Yeah,
shouting and trying to rip his shirt off.
Bench, didn't he?
Yeah. He starts trying to rip his shirt off, doing all sorts of mad shit, losing his head. What happens when Arsenal go 2-0 down and there's 10 minutes to go in a game? What happens when they're playing against us and he's going, oh shit, so I know what City can do. Whilst people are saying we've added fuel to the fire of Zinchenko or we've added fuel to the fire by giving Zinchenko and Jesus to Arsenal, these players, when we come to town, they still know what we can do. So they're going to be up for it. Is Zinchenko able to handle that moment? Is he able to handle that pressure? You know what I mean? Champions League games. Do you remember? Was it the Champions League final? Fernandinho had to literally grab him.
Yeah, semi-final. Fernandinho had to talk him down.
Fernandinho had to grab him by the collar. Be like, listen, I get your passion. I get what you're doing. But just, channel it correctly. Use the energy correctly. Don't go overboard because you'll get yourself sent off. Can Zinchenko handle that? That's the question for me. But listen, take nothing away from the performance today. Saka is, like you said, he's drug test the kid, man. Drug test. If he kept cutting in off that right wing and shooting with his left foot, I'm telling you who's going to score more. De Gea was beaten. De Gea was beaten by Saka.
He's finished. He is finished.
He's signing a new long-term contract on a cut pay.
Good. He's shit. He is awful.
He doesn't deserve the money. He's fucking. The fella
He
can't
cannot kick a ball. He cannot kick a ball. He also struggles to save one as well. He keeps letting it go through his legs.
We'll keep it chiller on De Gea for now. But I wanna we'll actually talk about United in a sec. But with Arsenal, like I said, with Saka, every time he cut on his left foot, De Gea looked like he'd seen a ghost. You know, he was shitting himself. The one that hit the post, the actual goal. Saka's crazy, man. And Kedia, your defense is in trouble. He did his job today. The thing is with Arsenal, man, they're resilient. They're really when I'm talking about we had to dig out the players in our squad and really microscope the players in our squad to find out who wants to be in this race, who wants to chase Arsenal, who's up for the challenge. Arsenal have known that since the start of the season, you know? They know that their whole team is on that vibe. It's not just, they didn't have to just dig them out and find out who wants to be a part of it. The whole Arsenal squad is on that mind frame of they want to win the league. They want to really push for it. So they're in a good position. Any thoughts, Joe, on Arsenal today? I know you watched the game.
I mean, all I can say at this point is just, like, fair play. I mean, all we can do is keep putting the pressure on because as it stands right now, even if we were to go and beat them twice in the league, we'd still be behind them. We are still relying on someone else to help us out. Like, we cannot do anything. It's not in our hands. We cannot go and just win every single game and win the league. That's not possible. We need someone else to come and help us take something off Arsenal. That's providing that we also beat them twice. So all I can say is they've absolutely smashed it. They're 19 games in. Obviously, we've played a game more, so they've got a game in hand. I always prefer having the points on the board than the game in hand, but I'm sure they'll rest easy knowing that they are 5 clear with a game in hand. The thing that worries me the most is the fact that they are at the exact halfway point and they're on 50 points. I don't want them getting 100 points. That scares me because I don't want that happening. I do not want Arsenal getting 100 points.
Invincibles.
Fuck Invincibles, drew 12 times. I do not want Arsenal getting 100 points because that is something special. It's something that we have only done. Like, we're the only team to have done that. I don't want Arsenal doing that. That's something that would be taken away from us. Like, obviously, you just have to hold your hands up at the end of the day and say, you know, fair enough. If they do it, they do it. They are on track to do it. I mean, the most we can get is 99 points, I think, because we're 20 games in. I think we can only reach 99. So, you know, we're not going to be able to do it. But Arsenal, man, they just look through a steam train. Nothing's stopping them. Every time they drop points, they bounce back. Every time stuff doesn't go their way, they seem to bounce back. They are a bit hot-headed. I will say they are still a bit hot-headed, like Mikel Arteta is picking up bookings because he's constantly outside his technical area, just shouting at officials. And they are still relatively young, so their heads, you know, again, they can, you know, some little tiny wobbles, but I mean, it shows how much they care. I mean, in recent weeks, we haven't been screaming like that at officials or anything like that. We haven't shown that level of care. So they won it. And it's, I mean, at this moment in time, I think there's only us in the race. I think now that United have lost to Arsenal, it's a 2-horse race, but it's not looking the brightest. But you can't call it over yet. Again, we're halfway in. It's a long way from over, but they are terrifying. They do scare me a lot.
Listen, there's 60 people in the building right now. If you haven't done so, people, just smash a quick like on the stream. It really does help. We're about 34 subscribers still off the big 5K, so subscribe if you're new as well. But listen, Mojis in the building. Big up Mojis every time. He says, we will beat them twice. We need someone else to take points off them. Here's how I see it planning out if all things go to plan the way I want. I don't care about Arsenal this Friday in the FA Cup. Well, not anywhere near the amount that I should, but I don't. I'm keeping it 100 with you people. I don't care about it as much as I should. I just don't. If we lose, we lose. It is what it is. I'd like to beat them for the psychological win, but if we lose, we lose. Go to Tottenham, go to White Hart Lane, beat them, hopefully, please God, a lot to do. We'll talk about that when it gets closer, but should we beat them? I'm telling you we'll beat Arsenal at the Emirates. I'm telling you we'll beat Arsenal at the Emirates. I really believe we will go to the Emirates and pick up all 3 points. You think about the psychological effect when we get to that stage, how different it'll be from even a week ago. We'll have beaten Tottenham, we'll have come back a 4-2. We'll have wiped the floor of Wolves 3-0. We'll have beaten Tottenham, hopefully, in White Hart Lane. And then we'll go to the Emirates, 3 wins in the bounce. We're starting to pick up that run we're talking about, and Arsenal all of a sudden are going, okay, it's now February 15th. We're getting into that business end of the season. That kettle that I'm always talking about, people, you know, when you put the kettle on and it goes, it starts whistling at you. It starts to boil. The pot's boiling. It's getting hot. City are on your tails. Zinchenko, Jesus, they know what we're capable of. We've done this. We've been there. We're walking in with a swagger to the Emirates of, we know how to do this. Are you ready for it? We're presenting you with, like I said last week, the final boss. You know, Super Mario Bros. And that. You beat the small bosses. Who's the big boss again? Bowser or some shit? You get to him at the end. Can you overcome that? I failed most times myself. I couldn't beat Bowser. Can Arsenal beat Bowser? But you know what I'm saying? I believe we go to the Emirates. If we beat Tottenham, we'll beat Arsenal. And then what is it? If Arsenal win their next game between now and then, what's it down to? 2 points?
2 points, and what have they got a game in hand?
They've got a game in hand. We discovered that.
And then it's serious conversations. If it's 2 points and a game in hand, that game in hand becomes serious. Every game.
It's not. No, sorry. Can I just end this myth here about this game in hand that being serious? It's Everton at the Emirates. They're gonna smash them. They're gonna smash them.
Alan says, brother, Pep created a monster. This team, these fans, we will die trying. This year is different. I get that, man. And the thing is, I fully respect and admire the feeling around the Emirates right now. The Ashburton Army, and the players are playing like every game is their last game ever. And if they don't win it, they don't get fed. You know what I mean? They're playing like they have to fucking win. And I get that. But you haven't beaten the champions yet. Pep created the monster. The monster hasn't faced the beast. Pep is still a beast. This team is still a beast. And if we keep trucking along with these wins and we get closer to that end of the season mark, then every game you play becomes a title-winning game or a title-losing game. Can your young team, as Joe alluded to, handle that? We've seen snippets of them losing the head and getting a bit uncomfortable in games. Newcastle, they don't like it. They don't like it when it's not going their way. Today, getting a bit uncomfortable at times as well. It's not going their way. Cracks at the back. Things not going exactly the way they have done before. And it'll only get more intense as time goes on. It'll only get more intense, and the experience of Manchester City knows about that intensity. The inexperience of Arsenal, all they know about is bottling top four. That's not to say they can't win the Premier League this season. I'm just stating the facts here. I'm just stating the facts. I believe we've got every chance of going to the Emirates and winning. And I believe if we beat Tottenham, White Hart Lane will win at the Emirates. You can put that in record. If Skultuggery's in the building, or one of you want to clip it and send it to him, fair enough.
I hope he is. I really hope he is.
Beat Tottenham at White Hart Lane, we'll beat Arsenal in the Emirates. We'll be a different beast by then. We'll be a different beast. Arsenal got to win, man. They got to keep winning. 61 in the building. Smash the likes. Joe, I was trying to hype it up there, but I do believe what I'm saying. Talk to me about this title race, because I'm confident. I'm confident. Come back against Spurs and then wipe the floor of Wolves. That's two different types of wins. We've got it in our locker. The magic is still there.
You mentioned Spurs. I forgot to end the poll. It's been 25 minutes. 53 votes. 53 votes because I let it run. By the way, it's 60% Rico Lewis. So there's your answer. The people have spoken. They want to see Rico Lewis, and I kind of agree with them. But I mean, if I would be confident going to the Emirates if we were to go and beat Spurs at White Hart Lane, purely because we haven't scored against Spurs at the new White Hart Lane, at the new Tottenham ground. We haven't scored against them there. So if we were to go there and win, that's an achievement in itself. You know, we beat Tottenham the other day. That's fine. Now we need to go and beat them away. We need to score away from home at Tottenham, which is something that, since the new ground, again, we haven't done. And, again, you mentioned beating Arsenal at the Emirates. While, you know, if we do beat Spurs, it would give me confidence. Arsenal are unbeaten at the Emirates. They've only dropped points once, and that was against Newcastle, in which it was a 0-0 draw, and they lost their heads a little bit.
Can I interject?
You can.
Liverpool didn't lose at Anfield for like 4 years, and we still beat them to almost every single league they went for.
I know. I'm getting to that. But this is like a slightly different situation of we need to go to the Emirates and we need to win. Like we need to win desperately because Arsenal are on fire. Arsenal look like they're not going to drop points for a long time. I've had a look at their fixtures and I've had a look at ours. Both got to play Newcastle, albeit, you know, Arsenal is Newcastle away, ours is Newcastle at home. Still, Newcastle, they haven't conceded a goal since October. That is crazy. I know there's been a 6-week break, but they haven't conceded a goal in ages. They've drawn a lot of them games, man. There has been a few 0-0s, and they are struggling to put the ball in the back of the net at the moment, but they're not conceding. They've built a foundation. We know our weakness was recent has been our defence, not being able to settle on something. We had changes again today. We had a change at half-time today. We still managed to keep the clean sheet, but it doesn't help. Our defence is always changing. But, I mean, in terms of going to the Emirates and getting a win, again, they haven't played us yet. They haven't played a team who knows how to get over the line, a team who knows how to get a scrappy win to help them win a title. Like, you go back to last year at the Emirates, getting that last-minute winner. We were awful. We were absolutely awful. We still won that game. Then we went on to win the Premier League by a point. You know, it's those sort of games that matter, where you can win when not playing well, or you can beat a team who should be beating you. And on paper at the moment, I mean, Pep said this a few times himself, that if we were to play how we have been playing, maybe not of recent, because we did sweep aside Wolves, but you look at, you know, the first half against Tottenham and then United and those games back there, if that side of us returns, we're gonna get destroyed by Arsenal. Like, let's not sugarcoat it. If we do play like we did against Man United, Arsenal are gonna hammer us. Like, that will happen. We can't play like that. We have to keep this run going, and it all stems with Pep settling on a team, which is where the Rico Lewis thing comes in again. Do you stick with Rico Lewis because he's playing well, or do you go back to the old, well, what you should be able to say is all reliable, and go back to more experience and what has worked? He's paid to make the big decisions, so I hope he makes the right one, and the one that the people want to see. The people want to see Rico Lewis, and again, he's proved that he can. I know Son was playing bad this season, but he's proved that he can, on a matchup that is on paper unfavourable, in that you'd expect Son, a more experienced previous Golden Boot winner, to get the better of him. He held him to nothing. Like, he's holding his own at this level of football. So I think that it all starts with the Spurs game. I'm not too arsed, like you said, about the FA Cup game. I'm really not bothered. I'd love to win it more for psychological reasons. I'm not really bothered about winning it to go and win the FA Cup. I'm not going to turn my nose up at a trophy. But if we do get knocked out, I am not going to be, like, upset over it. But I am just focusing on the rest of the Premier League until the Champions League kicks off, at least, anyway, because we've got a few games until we start playing in Europe and travelling all over the place. So be interesting to see how Arsenal deal with that as well. That is one thing that I'm still sort of keeping my eyes on. I said before that I think Arsenal, when it comes to club competitions and Europa League, they'll just throw out a B team and just let what happens. But I don't know, man. Maybe they'll go for the Europa League as well, because it's a trophy and they want to win something. You know, we have this narrative of that we're still trying to cling on to of Arsenal, while they're doing well at the moment and it's in their hands, they haven't, like, this crop of Arsenal players haven't won anything. The last time they won anything, Aubameyang was club captain. Like, this Arsenal squad, for the vast majority, haven't won, like, a major trophy. They haven't got over the line in a 38-game season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when their fixtures pile up and they're travelling, you know, all across Europe.
That's what I'm saying, man. Someone in the chat here says, I don't know who it was, I'm trying to find it, about Champions League. We should be forgetting. Someone said anyway that we're forgetting we have to play Champions League. I'm not forgetting. I'm completely taking into account, and Joe's hit the nail on the head there by saying we got to play Champions League. They got to play Europa League. We're playing on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. We could have a Tuesday-Sunday situation or a Tuesday-Saturday situation, and they'll have a Thursday-Sunday situation. It's a bit stickier for them. I mean, I'm looking at their fixtures here. I've got us in the Cup. Then they have to go to Goodison Park. Frank Lampard could be sacked by then. We're looking at potentially an Everton with a new manager bounce. There's so many teams have been stung by new manager bounces. Good evening. Good evening, people. Do you remember? Unai Emery came in, new manager bounce, took points off Man United. Eric Ten Hag's unbeatable Man United apparently at that point. Then they play Brentford at home. Granted, it's a home game. The Emirates is a fortress. But Brentford are a team that can cause problems on the day. They came to the Etihad and caused serious fucking problems, didn't they? They'll have no fears about going to the Emirates. And then they play Aston Villa. Good evening, or they play us, and then, you know, that's a separate game in its own right. And then they play Good Evening and Aston Villa. These games, someone else says in the chat here, Curtis says, people talking about dropping points against the big 6 teams, but forget other teams capable in the league. Arsenal v City games are huge, but not the decider. So much football to play, and that's exactly it. That's the reasonable point that I'm making. That anybody could take points off Arsenal. And also anybody can take points off us. But I just back us in this kettle boiling moment as the kettle gets hotter, as I keep saying. We need to get a kettle up on screen, Joe, and have like a graphic of it going up, steam coming out and it's starting to whistle and all that kind of stuff. But as the kettle gets hotter.
Anyway.
Huh?
That's his nice set anyway.
Yeah. As the kettle gets hotter, can Arsenal handle the heat, man? If you can't handle the heat, you're going to be booted out of the kitchen. We've been in the heat. We've had all the steam around us. The windows, condensation, burning your hands on the stove. We've done it all. We've had all the problems. Draws at West Ham, thinking you potentially fucked it. You've had to take it to the final day. Liverpool, when they played Wolves that day as well. Man, we've been there. We've done that. Can Arsenal handle that? We're talking about tests after tests after tests for Arsenal. Even if they beat us in the Emirates, which I don't think they will, that's still not the final test, little bro. There's so many more tests to come. You're sitting a full set of GCSEs. Bro, talk. I'm losing my voice here.
They do have to be proven. They do still have to prove themselves. Can they do it in the nitty-gritty? Look, again, we're in January now, which is the equivalent of what a normal season will be December. Again, in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
We're technically, football-wise, we're in December. We're looking at that. There's still... Do you say we've played 18? We've played 18 or there's 18 left?
20.
I think it's
We've played
18
20.
left. Played 20, right? We played 20. There's still 18 games left, man. We don't know how good they are. We literally don't know how good they are. We haven't played them, right? They're a great team to watch, right? They're top of the league for a reason. They deserve to be top of the league. But I haven't even seen a team. Again, this sounds bad because we only lost to United. We haven't seen a team on our level, on our top level that we know we can do. Play Arsenal. Arsenal don't know. Arsenal. There's no way Arsenal can look at it and know what's coming because you're looking at that. City have two possible ways of turning up. The best team in the world or mid-table, and we've been getting the mid-table line for ages. You never know. We could something just clicked. A lot of the boys in the work saying, in my job, saying that they think City won the league on Thursday. They think that turnaround at half time was what is going to eventually go on and win the league. I agree. I still think we're going to win this league. That will be the turning point. But you have to go out and start beating them. So now we have fans of butts.
No, it's buts and maybes, man. Got to go out and win that league. Listen, 70 people in the building. Smash a quick like on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're about 34, 35 subs off the big 5K. So share it around with your friends and family and tell them to help us on the road to 5K. All love, massively appreciated. Arteta is going to play this video of Hugh being a hype man in the change room. Listen, I hope so, because according to that documentary we watched last year, whenever he played those videos or Liverpool fans singing Never Walk Alone, they went out and got slapped up. So play me in the dressing room all you want. To all of you Arsenal players, we're coming. We are coming. Your time is coming. We're on your tails. You'll get yours soon. Are we worried about Foden? No. United beat you. We beat United. Okay. First high-level team they played, Newcastle. They couldn't find a goal and bullied the officials. Listen, I don't want to make it out like I'm just trying to slander Arsenal. I'm not. I think they're a fantastic team and they've done a great job this season. But we do, even Arsenal fans, real Arsenal fans who are on a reasonable mind frame and think reasonably, will admit that we just don't know. And we just don't know, can they get to that stage of the season that I'm talking about where the kettle's boiling and it's getting the pressure's on, basically, just to call a spade a spade, where the pressure's really fucking on. Can you handle it? Can you see it out? Can you hold out? We don't know. I'm not saying they can't for 1 second. I'm not saying they can't. We just don't know. That's simple as it is. We know we can. Do we know they can? Simple as. Pretty easy. I hope Skultuggery watches this. I hope so too, man. Let Skultuggery watch what he wants. He's free to do his thing. You said that about United last week, Hugh. Listen, with United, I had to show chess, man. It's a Manchester derby. Of course, I'm going to show chess. I'm not going to sit there and say, no, we're going to get beaten by Eric Ten Hag and Man United. We know what happened in that game. I still think we win that game 1-0 if the referee decides not to be a prick. Lads, remember Arsenal are strengthening too. Yeah, listen, big signings. Trossard. How do you pronounce that other guy they got?
Kiwola?
Kiwor or Kiwiwu?
Kiwola, I think. Give me a sec. Give me a sec.
Something like that.
I need it in front of me. Wait.
All I'm saying is we are coming into the form and the energy we need to be at the right time. Getting players back from injury. Like I said, digging out the players in the squad who are the hungriest and that want to play and want to, put pressure on Arsenal. We know who that is now. We know who needs to play. And it's only going to help us now that we've solved that issue. I think we've solved the issue of hunger. Not enough hunger in the team. I think we've solved that. It's only going to improve the overall squad because the players like Walker, like Bernardo, if he still wants to have a go at this, like Foden, they're saying, right, Pep's going to keep playing these guys because they're doing well. I need to work hard to get my position back. Forget winning Premier Leagues. If I want to be part of the team at all, I got to work hard and play. So the whole team is going to come to a position of hunger and fighting for different reasons, but all for the overall same goal. I think we're coming into it at a nice time. As Big Steve loved to say last year, top of the league. Yeah, listen, Arsenal top of the league, deservedly so. Arsenal deserve to be top of the league. Man City can up another level. Arsenal cannot. It totally depends on if Arsenal can maintain this. We do have more levels to go. What do you reckon, Joe? Anything to say?
Yeah, that last point. This is prime Arsenal. They aren't getting like better than this, and if they can, it won't be much better. They can't get much better than this. We know that we have had an awful run, an awful run that we always have. We've always had this awful run at this sort of time where we'll dip a bit and then we'll go on a long unbeaten run. Which we're hoping we have turned that corner now that Pep has dug absolutely everybody out, which was needed. And I hope he continues playing players that only care. Because, for all the technical ability in the world that can get you over the line, if someone's not willing to run or go into a 50-50 or, put in the effort, you're not going to win football games. Some things you can't teach. There's some things that you can't just get away with just because you're technically superb. And that is effort. I mean, we've seen the likes of Liverpool. Liverpool, in terms of when Liverpool were challenging us, their midfield was technically not very good. But they had a lot of runners. They had people who were willing to cover a lot of ground, people who were willing to press, people who were willing to go into 50-50s. Like Jordan Henderson. He just shouted at people and ran around a lot. But he was crucial to them Liverpool sides who were pushing us all the way because he gave a shit. And he was actually willing to put in the effort. I hope Pep continues to play the players who want it, play the players who actually care. That's why Rico Lewis is getting given his chance because he hasn't been part of those teams that have won trophy after trophy after trophy, so he doesn't have them medals. So he wants it. He's up for it. He's up for the challenge. Whereas you look at Cancelo and it's like he's got silverware in his bag, Kyle Walker, he's got silverware in his bag. They're like, Kyle Walker's looking at that and going, yeah, I'm first choice over on this right-hand side. Cancelo's on that other side. There's no one to challenge me. And he got comfortable. Cancelo, he got comfortable knowing Sergio Gomez was the only one behind him. Now he's got Nathan Ake taking his place. Now he doesn't know what to do. He's going on Instagram and posting cryptic messages and hashtags and all of this stuff. It's like, you've got to care to want your place back. You look at Bernardo Silva, key player for us over the years. The man puts out an interview, starts playing bad. He holds bench. De Bruyne. He looks way below his standards. He holds the bench. He was actively benched for a big game, which is something that you never see. If it's a big game, no matter what form he's in, if it's a big game he plays, he was benched against Tottenham. We decided to go with a different tactical setup. Alvarez played with Haaland, and he was benched, and it worked. And that might have been the kick up the arse that he needed, because again, he's been far too comfortable. He's another one of them players where I touched on it saying he was one of the almost untouchables where you'd never see him get dropped. And then he gets dropped. That might be a kick up the arse he needs. Foden as well. I know he's got this. Pep said he had a knock from the derby that he's still carrying, and that's why he couldn't be a part of the squad today. But maybe this period on the bench where Mahrez is excelling and Grealish is coming into his own as well. Maybe that's the kick up the arse he needs as well, because he's been poor. We accused him of, before the World Cup started, him focusing on that World Cup and him taking his eye off, what was in front of him at club level, which was, trying to win as many games before that break. His performances dipped. It looked like he was concentrating on the World Cup. And then since the World Cup, he just hasn't looked on it. He's looked like he's just focused on other things, and that, winning the Premier League is the last of his concerns, which, Pep predicted this. There was a clip on Twitter I saw the other week from the interview before the Champions League final a couple of years ago, where he said, Foden's on this upwards trajectory. There will become a point where, it stagnates and it starts to come down a little bit. And then after that, once he's had this learning period, it'll be back up again. And this is the period that he's going through. Pep has basically telegraphed this and said, he's going to have a down period, but it's how he recovers from this down period. So this is really important, which is why I'm not worried about Phil Foden, because if Pep's saying that this is going to happen and it's happened, then, I trust this was always going to happen. So I'm not worried about Foden. This is just like almost a reality check for everyone that it doesn't matter who you are, what you've won, how good you are on your day. Where we used to get at United fans saying, "No, Pogba on his day" and all that sort of shit. It doesn't matter who you are on your day. It's about who's willing to turn up now. You see Gundogan against Spurs. I mean, I was able to play a Kamit. There was that one foul where he got pushed and the ref didn't give it. First thing he does, he gets up and he goes straight through the first Spurs player he sees on the ball. Straight through him. He doesn't care. He wants it. He was up for it. That is something that we've been lacking, and that is something that I want to continue seeing. Just players who are up for it, players who actually want to play. Because again, effort can, talent can only take you so far. You got to put in the effort.
Exactly, man. Big up Patrick Gann in the chat. He says, we are not great today by our standards this season. No, Arsenal weren't at their beautiful best, which is why I still believe that we can catch them, And like I said, I believe we're coming into the shape that we need to be. Like Joe said perfectly there. He's dug out all the players that are willing to fight. Now that we know the players that are willing to fight and that are up the challenge, it's going to put a kick up the arse instead of rocket up the arse of the players who weren't up for the fight or didn't look like they cared enough. It was inevitable with Foden, agreed with Patrick. Michael O'Connor, big up Michael O'Connor. He's giving me all the smoke in the chat. He says, Hugh, listen to yourself. You have more chest for what you did in the past than for what you're doing right now. I think that's perfectly justified as well, Michael, with all due respect, because it means that I know what we're capable of. If I was talking about the 2012 title race, which I've alluded to once or twice just for argument's sake, but if I was talking about that all the time, I'd say, right, I'm talking about a completely different era, a completely different team. We're talking about the same manager, the same core of the team, the same players basically that have done this situation before and know how to fix it and get over the line. That's why I have the chest that I do, and I think it's perfectly justified. But listen, big up Michael every time, man. It's all love. I know you're back in Arsenal, and I fully understand Arsenal fans who are excited and are giddy, and I'd be the exact same. They've gone through a lot of pain and hardship for years. Big club in Arsenal, shouldn't have been where they were for a long time, and now they really look like they've got that spirit of Arsenal back, the best team easily since the Invincibles. So I fully get it that you're hungry to do something crazy this season. But all I'm saying is I'm not willing to give up on my team based off what I've seen before and what I know we can do and what I've seen in the last 2 games alone. In the last 2 games alone, what I've seen is enough to convince me that we're still in this fight. You know what I mean? We're not allowing you to run away with it, not a one-horse race. We're still in this fight. That's just basically what I'm saying, which is why I said exactly what I said was, we go to White Hart Lane and win there. I believe we'll go to the Emirates and win there. I believe that. Why would I sit here and say, I don't back my team? I think we're going to lose. I'm not like Toby. I don't do that. I believe my team's going to win every game. Whether we do or we don't is a different thing. I believe we're going to win every game. I back my team. I think we're going to win the league. I believe we're going to win the Emirates. I believe we can win the Champions League. The reason I don't have the same amount of chest about that is because we've never fucking won the thing. The reason I have chest with the Premier League because we have won the thing. I think it's perfectly justified. He'll have that dog in him. Hugh, chess is fine, just don't go Saeed level. I'm not going near Saeed level. I think I've got more justification to have chess than Saeed. Saeed, to a lesser extent, I'll allow him to be the way he is because it's the same as Arsenal. United have been shit for ages. They're starting to look half decent again. I'm allowing him to get a bit giddy, even though he does go overboard. But City fans have a right to be confident and have an expectation that the team will fight and push to the end like they have for so many years. Whether we win or we don't, it's one thing. But we have to at least be able to believe that we can get it over the line and we can pull this deficit back. Because I believe we really can. Big up Hugh, Sherade. Big up yourself, Michael. That's all love. You know yourself. Morris Smith Rowe is being slowly brought back to the side, and he will be the. I'm not sure what that emoji is. I assume key card to us win this league. Smith Rowe, Patrick Am, the chat man. I've been telling him for years, even before Arsenal got good again. I've been saying Smith Rowe, I rate, man. I think Smith Rowe is a sick player. Get him back fit. It's only going to add to your depth issue and give you a better chance to win the league. I think Arsenal can win the league. Absolutely. I believe we can too. We just have to stay close, Tyrone. Exactly. Stay on our arses, seeking to handle the pressure. We're going to wrap it up now in a few minutes. There's still 50 of you in the building. Smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. You got any closing thoughts on the title race? Big 2 weeks ahead. Arsenal in the Cup, Tottenham away, Arsenal away. I'm going to both the North London away games. What are we saying?
Big couple of weeks. That's it. You can't lose.
We need to do things. We need to do things that either we haven't done or no team has done, and that is beat Tottenham at their ground, which is something that we've never done in their new ground, and then beat Arsenal at their place, which is something that no one has done this season. We need to do we need to do things that nobody's done or we haven't done. It's as simple as that. We need to break even more records and stipulations.
If we don't do those things, we don't win it.
If Arsenal
Do you
beat
know
us
what?
at the
Make or
Emirates,
break.
if Arsenal beat us, if a draw, I'm not willing to call it over. I think we cannot lose to Arsenal. I think that is the bottom line. We cannot lose to Arsenal.
Draw out the Emirates and beat them in the Etihad. I'm perfectly happy. You know what I'm saying? I genuinely mean that. And Joe made a great point there. We have never beat Tottenham in White Hart, or in the new stadium, I should say. If we go and beat them there, we've already accomplished something we haven't done before. That's a massive motivation, a massive boost in confidence. The players then go, right, we're achieving, we're back on track. It's a psychological thing for City. It's not a quality issue. It's not a depth issue. It's a complete psychological thing. And I really believe we've rectified the psychological issue in digging out those players. And I'll keep stressing it. Pep has dug out the players. He's excommunicated temporarily the players who aren't up for the fight. And he's starting the players who are. Grealish, Mahrez, they look hungry. Mahrez has no right to be more hungry than Kyle Walker. They both won the same amount of Premier Leagues. Or Mahrez has won more, doesn't he? Probably the same man, because Mahrez wasn't there for Centurions. But why is he showing the hunger and Kyle Walker isn't? Why is he showing the hunger and Cancelo isn't? Why is he showing the hunger and Bernardo isn't? You know what I mean? Listen, the title race is well and truly fucking open. We're in a good position, I believe, in terms of, you know, mind frame and psychologically. I think we're in the best place possibly we've been this season now, you know, in terms of selection and psychologically. I really mean that. I just hope it continues. It would be such a massive psychological win and 3 points if we go to White Hart Lane and win there. You need to win both games against Arsenal, says Dara Riley. Big up Dara every time. Yeah, I think I take a draw and a win. I take a draw and a win because I believe they'll drop more points. Whole time Mudryk. Patrick asks here as well, are you on the... We'll answer this quickly. Are you on the Mudryk hype train already after 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's kind of good, isn't he? He's kind of good, isn't he?
He's kind of good, man. He's a little bit good, Pat. He's a little bit good. I think he's going to cause problems. And he'll probably be the difference between, say, them and Liverpool if they're both to go for top four. I think someone like Mudryk who's going to come in and add that flair, like he did in Anfield. He'll get goals and he'll create goals, essentially.
Yeah, because Liverpool signed Gakpo and he's absolutely garbage.
I'm on the Liam Bird.
Hang on, if we're talking about garbage wingers here, yeah, that Anthony fella, he needs to get a job as a bin man.
Anthony.
That fella,
Midgets,
right?
winner.
Pay €100 million on this fella. He is.
Bit of reoccurring theme of clubs just signing shit wingers, isn't it?
He is. No, that Anthony.
We wouldn't know about that. We wouldn't know about
Gakpo. Whatever about Gakpo, yeah. Whatever about Gakpo. You know, it spent nearly. Nearly 3 times.
Yeah, I'm willing to like almost not let it slide. I'm still going to slander him when he plays bad, but they paid like 35 million for Gakpo, so I'm kind of like, they didn't pay that much for him, and it's more like a luxury signing just to kind of get them through with the Diaz injury. He's not playing well at the moment, but they paid 100 million for Anthony. He's been absolutely garbage.
Mahar says Trossard looks like a perfect Arsenal player. He does. I think it's a shrewd bit of business from Arsenal. A really good bit of business signing Trossard. I think he's a serious player. And he'll be great for that depth issue that we've been speaking about all season with Arsenal. Listen, we're going to wrap her up. We want to go play some pro clubs. We play pro clubs every single night. If you guys want to see us play pro clubs and you want us to see us play it live, let us know. We might do it live at some point if it's something you're interested in. I'll do another video on something, maybe the title race or if there's transfer news. I'll make sure there's a video up tomorrow at some point. We'll do plenty of videos this week. We'll start working our way towards that FA Cup game against Arsenal. Do we want a collaboration? Should we get an Arsenal fan on for the cup game? Maybe Turkish, someone from one of the big 6 boys? I don't know. Or will we hold off for the league game? We'll have a chat about it. You lot let me know. Do you want to see maybe Turkish or an Arsenal fan that I can get on and we'll have a chat about the title race as a whole? I think if we were to do an FA Cup preview with an Arsenal fan, it would probably be, you know, genuine City versus Arsenal talk more so than the actual fixture. So let me know what you lot want to see and we can make it happen. Smash a quick like on your way out, and if you're watching it on playback, smash a like on the stream too. It really does help. At the moment, we're about 33 subs off the big 5K. I can't wait to hit 5K, man. It's such a sick milestone that I'm really excited to hit. And all of you, as of course, you're part of the community. So it's as much your milestone and something for you to enjoy as it is for us, because we've done this together through your support. Big love to the 894 community. And we'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Joe, wrap her up. Good night and God bless, people.
Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your